Are you longing to feel connected and not so alone? Longing to be happy and more alive? Badass Counseling is excited to announce the creation of Community Plus, a subscription-based private group of folks just wanting to more closely share their soul journey together with like-minded folks and with me, Sven. For a monthly fee, you'll get bi-monthly live Q&As with me, Sven, giving you a better chance of getting your own questions answered. A private community feed for you to post pictures, successes, struggles, joys, even the occasional cat picture, creating greater connection and help for healing and growth. Random drawings for free small group sessions and drawings for private coaching sessions with me. Priority access to becoming a guest on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Unlimited access to my DIY video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. And so much more. Community Plus is for people serious about their soul journey who want real growth, real help, real laughter, real connection, and true community. Join us now at badasscounseling.com.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello, listeners from around the world. This is the Badass Counseling Show. You have reached Sven Erlandson. It's great to have you here. This is the Badass Counseling Show. Whether you are checking in from Sardinia or San Quentin Prison, whether you are checking in from San Antonio, Texas, which we love on this show, or up in Saugatuck on the river in Connecticut, it is great to have you here with us on the Badass Counseling Show. I am joined in studio by KC. That's not Casey, that's K and then a C over in the booth. And Rob the Rocket right next to me. Rob.
Taking off, eh?
What say ye?
Beauty. The nice thing about doing the show with you, Sven, is that if I personally have a problem, you'll just talk with me. It's a real privilege, and I save money. Thank you.
Well, I tell you, I would have been even more complimented if you had said, when I have a problem, Sven, you listen.
Well, you know what? That goes without saying. Of course you listen.
Well, that's very gracious. I hate the idea of being one of those people that just talks when they're being with someone who's struggling. But
did you say something? What? I'm sorry.
Exactly. You know, it's funny. My girlfriend and I were on a walk the other day, and we were in a park in our city. And it's one of these, the bark on one of the trees, it was a bark where it looks like it's camouflage, like on mossy oak clothes or something, where the bark itself is this like camo. And I was walking behind her with my dogs, and she says, look at that tree. It looks like it is made of camouflage. And I said, what tree? True story. True story. Nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm normally not that quick, but
I like it.
Thank you. I'm quite proud of myself for that one. All right, here we go. Rob, tell us about Dot.
I'd be happy to, Sven. Dot wrote into us and said, I found you, Sven, through your TikTok videos, and I'm so grateful for all your teachings. I have both of your most recent books, and I'm working through them each day. My life story is a tough chew. I am truly Cinderella, with the evil stepmother and stepsisters. My stepmother was so deeply manipulative and damaged herself that she changed my and my sister's lives forever, years after my father's death. I'm an adult now. It's been 15 years since I last spoke to her, but I still struggle to flush out all the damage she structured me with in childhood. She really instilled so much fear and deep core values that I don't matter, and without either of my parents alive, I struggle so much with changing that and other things within my shattered love cup. I thought I would be a great episode for your podcast if you're willing to take a swing with me. I'd be so grateful for your, Casey, and Rob's advice and input. Thank you so much for all you guys do. Even if I never get to speak with you, you have changed my life for the better with your work.
Dot, great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Sven. Great to be here.
Thanks. Let's dive right in. You said you still struggle to flush out all the damage she structured me with in childhood. What really is the hardest thing that you just can't seem to get past, or what really are we talking about here?
I think deep down, I've really come to realize that I don't feel like anyone genuinely loves me or cares about me. I just think they tolerate me. And it doesn't matter how many times people tell me they love me or what they do or how long they stay. I have this fear of abandonment. And just this feeling that like I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough.
And when you fear abandonment, and when you feel like you're not good enough, and when you feel that people are just tolerating you, what is your response? Whether it's a friend or a lover or someone, how do you respond when you're living in this state of feeling not good enough and fearing that they're going to leave me? What do you tend to do when
I turn into a chameleon? I just figure out, like, I've become so good at adapting myself to what I think other people want of me that I've almost like lost my entire identity. I don't know who I am under all that, because I'm constantly trying to please other people and make them happy. And
the one fear above all else in trying to make them happy, the fear driving you, is the fear in one sentence or less. What is the master fear that drives you to be whoever the hell you got to be, to either be liked or to avoid criticism? What is the primary fear?
that I don't matter.
And if you were to put it in non-Sven terms, because for our readers, they know that's a phrase in my book. Put it in use different language to express the same thought. What's the fear? What do you fear them doing or not doing?
I fear them leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I fear being alone,
and
being unloved.
If you were alone, when you're alone, then what happens? Is it that you fear paying your own bills? Is it that you fear, somebody breaking into your house? What's the fear? When you're alone, what is it that you fear?
I think I fear that I'm going to fail, that it's going to be too much, that I'm not going to be able to handle everything, that I could never be independent and on my own. And
presumably, because you've gotten some message saying that you can't, you're no good, or what? Well, actually, let's do this. Let me ask you this question. If you were to be on your own, and then if you were to fail at life, okay, what is the one sentence above all else, if you failed, that would hurt the very most to either hear from someone or to know they're thinking about you? If you were to be on your own and you just fucking nosedive and you fail, what would be the one sentence above all else that would hurt the most?
I saw that coming.
I saw that coming. And
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
No, that's great. That's great. I saw that coming. And what is the sort of underlying message? If someone's saying, I saw that coming, what are they really saying about you?
That I'm not a good person.
Okay.
You're bad.
And just out of curiosity, okay, so you're bad. I saw that coming. You're not a good person. Does it sort of have a hint of or a whiff of, I knew you couldn't do it? Or I knew you were a loser? Or does that not resonate?
No, that resonates. It's
what?
almost like I'm expecting like my stepmother's beliefs of me. If that were to come to fruition, then she would be right.
Then she would be right. Okay. And stepmom would be right. And so then presumably, if that's the grand fear in being alone and the fear of failing, then your grand fear is of your stepmom being right about you.
Yeah.
And that voice tells something. What does that feel like? Give me a feeling word, and there's a big breath. Give me a feeling word that feels like when I tell you that your grand fear is ultimately that your stepmom was right about you.
Frustrating.
Okay, give me another feeling word. That's a good one. That's a great start. What else?
Infuriating.
Because?
Enraging.
Okay, so frustrating, infuriating, and raging. And what's the most infuriating part?
I just feel like I've spent most of my life trying to heal from her, if not being with her in my childhood. And it's just frustrating to feel like I've made so much progress, but she's still there.
No, that's understandable.
I feel like I'm worlds away from where I was like 2 years ago. And it's still just peeling layers of onions back and just being like, crap, it's still in there.
Right. It is. And the truth is, this is sometimes how it goes, that we have massive progress, yet there's still one or two things. And the truth is that think about what I asked you. I asked you, okay, so you still struggle to flush out all the damage from her. And I said, tell me about that. What damage? You said, I don't feel loved. I feel like people tolerate me. I have a fear of abandonment, feel not loved. And so I said, and so what does that cause you to do? You said, I become a fucking chameleon. I just become whoever the hell I got to do to make people like me. And I said, what's the fear? And you said, well, the fear is that I'll be alone then. If they leave me, then the fear is that I'll be alone. And what do you fear in being alone? You said, I fear that I'll fail. I said, hey, well, if you do fail, what would hurt the most? You said, what would hurt them? What's the one sentence that would hurt the most? And you said, I saw that coming. In other words, some snarky bastard is sitting over there saying, I saw that coming, you fucking turd. I knew that would fucking happen. You're such a fucking loser. I knew that. You ain't worth a shit. You're bad, okay? And I said, where's that coming from? Whatever. And you offered up, it means my stepmom was right. That's the fear. The grand fear keeping you stuck is that your stepmom was right. And let me ask you, what above all else, or you can give me 2 or 3 if you want, what were the primary messages, either spoken or unspoken, that you got from your stepmom about you?
Oh God, where do I start? Do you have 3 hours?
Yeah, I do. But what I want you to do is I want you to sum it up. What was the top message that you got about you from your stepmom? Maybe she said it repeatedly, or maybe it was only conveyed through a look and the child interpreted it with the child's own brain. So it could have been conveyed any number of ways. What was the real message of what she thought about you or what she taught you about you?
I think one of the biggest ones was that I was stupid.
You're stupid. Okay.
That was bashed into my head a lot.
And what was the biggest way you're stupid was conveyed to you?
Oh, they'd tell me all the time.
Oh, okay. So they
Anytime I did anything wrong, it was, you're an idiot.
And
you
just
didn't
so
know
I'm
that.
clear, you said they. So unless stepmom has multiple personalities, who is the other person besides stepmom?
Stepmom and stepsister 1 and stepsister 2.
I see. So as you said, it is a Cinderella situation. So she gave them, in addition to calling you stupid at the top of the list, she gave them carte blanche to be mean to you.
Oh yeah, they were like her little minions and followed her every word.
And so then is it reasonable to assume, then that you did not feel safe in your own home?
Absolutely.
Right. And so then you're not safe anywhere. So that child spends the rest of her life looking to feel secure, looking to feel safe because you weren't even safe in your own home. Would that be accurate or inaccurate? And if it doesn't resonate, just say so.
No, absolutely accurate.
And so
I've never felt safe, really.
And where have you searched mostly to feel secure?
Relationships.
Men, women, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly men.
Okay. And has that worked?
To a degree, I feel like I can be a really toxic person to be around sometimes.
Why is that?
Be a toxic partner.
Why can you be toxic sometimes to be around?
Because my trauma causes like a lot of issues. I have a lot of panic attacks. I can't hold down jobs very easily. I can't really stick to any one career or idea. It's hard for me to be independent, things like that. And eventually people just get tired and leave.
Which once they leave, that further confirms inside of you, see, I'm no good. I'm such a fucking loser. I'm stupid, whatever, right?
Yep.
Right. And the reason that you're being a chameleon and the reason you're trying different jobs and the reason you're seeking love in so many places, seeking that security ultimately is that you have no idea who the fuck you are. So you're trying all these things and you're being whoever you got to be liked. It is a survival mechanism. The child is just trying to survive, just trying to get love. I will be whoever you want me to be. Please just be nice to me. Please just be nice to me. Please, I'll do anything. Does that sound somewhat accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was not safe when you were a child. It was not safe for you to be the authentic you. See, if you're in a loving environment where you are supported and where you are protected, the child grows up feeling free to explore, free to express who they really are. I want to try playing trombone. But son, you're only in 2nd grade. But I want to try it. All right. Let's try trombone. Daddy, I hate trombone. Well, there we go. That's okay, but at least you tried. Okay, supportive environment. The child feels free expressing themselves, letting go of that which doesn't feel right, and then pursuing that which does. But there was no safety. There was no safety.
It was in constant survival mode all the time.
Exactly. And so what you did is you hid your greatest treasure. And what you hid was your authentic self. It wasn't safe. If you had let it out, it would have been fucking destroyed. The wolves would have attacked it. So it's in you. It's not out there. You have to hunt hither and yon to find. No, it's in you. It's there.
It just feels like I never really had it, if that makes sense.
Of course.
Like
when did your stepmom? When did your stepmom come into your life? When did your stepmom come into your life?
When I was 9.
When you were 9. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then prior to that, who were the adults in your home? Was it dad and mom and the divorce and then that sort of thing, or what?
So my mom and dad were together when I was born, but shortly after I was born, my mother's alcoholism reared its ugly head, ruined my parents' relationship, and then they went through a divorce. She left when I was 7.
7 years old, they divorced. Okay. And just so I'm clear then, what's fundamentally happening right now inside of you, in corporate America, they call it a proxy battle, that there is a battle right now inside of you for ownership of the company. And the company is you. And you are in a battle with your stepmom. And she has owned the company up till now. She has fucking owned you. And to the degree that you still fear her being right, to the degree that you still are running from those words, I saw that coming.
Which is nonsense, because it's like in my head, I think she's sitting somewhere looking at my every move going, oh, Dot did this,
exactly.
Dot did that. And
exactly. It's not nonsense. That's how powerful.
She hasn't been anywhere near me in 15 years.
But that's the power of parental imprinting. That is the power. That once it gets imprinted into that child, it is there until it is extracted. It doesn't magically go away. You can have, I have clients who have all the success in the world, all the fame, all the accoutrements of life, and the voice is still fucking inside of them. And it's still inside of you. Okay. And so, yeah, she fucking owns you right now, and you can't hear your own voice because it's still not safe. Your soul inside of you knows it's not safe to let out the real you because she's in there. And you are running from her voice, and you still fear that sentence. That sentence is running your life. You fear a sentence. And the sentence is, I saw that coming. And the most fucked up part about it, and what's implied in that is, I saw that coming. In other words, you're bad. You're a loser. I saw that coming. You're such a fucking twat. What a fucking loser. That's what that sentence says. That's the underlying. That's how the child interpreted it. But what's most fucked up about it, or one of the most fucked up parts is, well, let me ask you this. Have you ever been around children? Dumb question, but of course, right? And you may have heard me ask this question before, but can you think of anything that a 9-year-old girl, sweet, darling little girl, could possibly do, or a rambunctious little 9-year-old boy could possibly do that would justify them believing, them being taught that they're no good? Can you think of anything a 9-year-old could possibly do that would justify them having that belief or being taught that belief?
No.
No, of course not. Of course not.
But I still find myself going back and being like, I should have known better. I should have done something different.
I am not disputing that. That's not the point. The point is, there wasn't a goddamn thing wrong with you. She was just a fucking asshole. There is nothing a 9-year-old, sweet, innocent, playful, smart, creative, rambunctious, ornery when she doesn't get a nap, steals a little extra cookie for herself. There is nothing that 9-year-old could have possibly done that would justify that belief. She just had something pounded into her that was never true to begin with. But here's the question I have for you. Where was your dad?
Oh, my dad was my everything, my best friend, my foundation. However, at the point that I'm at now, looking back, he greatly reinforced everything she impressed on me. And I remember times when she and I would be in an argument and I was just fighting for what I thought was right. And I was right looking back, but he would tell me to go inside and apologize to her and make up with her, or else she would leave. So like placing the responsibility of his relationship onto me.
Okay. And so is it safe to say that your dad knew everything that she was doing to you?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So dad
Many
knows.
talks about it.
Dad knows. And he is not only allowing it, but he's expecting you to go and be subservient to the monster and her minions. Because if you don't, as you just said, or else she would leave. So clearly your dad feared your stepmom leaving, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so he fucking made you his fucking tool because of his own fears and his own insecurities. Let me ask you this question. What would, if you were to speculate, you said your father's deceased now, may he rest in peace, but what do you think your father most feared if she left?
We had reason to believe that she might have like had the deed to the house over his head, or because she was married to him, she could take his pension.
So what do you believe
his
believe his biggest fear was? That if she left, what? I'm left raising a little girl by myself? Or is it I'll have to fend for myself financially? Or is it I'll be alone and nobody loves me? What do you think his fundamental biggest fear was if she left? Because clearly he fears it. You just spit it out of your mouth as if it was fact. What did he fear?
I think he feared the same thing I fear, which is being alone and being
So that motherfucker, your supposed best friend and foundation, he fucking threw you to the wolves. He didn't just allow them, he facilitated it because he was a fucking coward. He let a little 9-year-old girl eat shit so that he could be safe. He fundamentally protected himself at the expense of a 10-year-old, 11-year-old child. Your dad's a fucking douchebag. Sorry. Much more to come right after this short break.
My wife pushed me to watch this guy's TikTok videos, so I finally caved in, and holy crap, blew me away. I started watching more, and every time he opens his mouth, I get blown away in a whole new way. So I finally bought his book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. To say I got an ass kicking is an understatement. Much needed. It was like having my own personal tough therapist who just gets it. So go do yourself a favor. Get There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It's powerful stuff.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform, and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
Dot is with us, and we were just hammering on her father, quite frankly. Dot, if your father were alive today, how old would he be?
He would be 74.
74. And just out of curiosity, 74, okay, so that puts him roughly in the Vietnam generation. Okay, I don't know.
He was a Vietnam vet.
He was a Vietnam vet, all right. I don't know what part of the country he grew up in or what have you, but I know back in those days when he would have been growing up, 50s, 60s, 70s, especially back on the sides of police cars back then, there were those keywords that many police cars still have, to blank and to blank. What would that be?
Protect and to serve.
Protect and to serve, right. And a lot of people... And he was a cop, right, of all things. Right. And parenting could generally be boiled down to those two things in so many ways. We're protecting the child and serving the child, serving their short-term interests, serving their long-term interests, protecting them from the wolves outside the gate in pioneer days, and protecting them from all the boys that want to get in your daughter's pants, and or nowadays it's the opposite, and wish I were 13, and protecting but protecting them emotionally, just protecting them. Protect. And especially for men of that generation, hell, even my generation, I'm 57, it's protect, right? And provide, protect, serve, right? And so he had one motherfucking job. Job one, his very first numero uno job as a father is to protect his fucking daughter. Not only did he not protect you, He literally threw you into harm's way and expected you to go back and suck dick over it, to go back and apologize to her for what she had done to you. Your dad's a fucking asshole.
Yeah. That took me a really long time to come to terms with because I had him on a pedestal.
What are you feeling right now?
Lost.
What else are you feeling right now?
Disappointed.
You got to look
heartbroken.
Okay. Lost, disappointed, heartbroken. Right. Exactly. And then you just said a minute ago, I had to come to terms with this, blah, blah, blah. I don't think you have come to terms with it because those feelings of lost, disappointed, and heartbroken are still consuming you now, right now.
What do you do with that? Like, I can't exactly talk to
What
them.
have you done with it?
I do a lot of journaling.
And what do you journal about?
On,
what are you stuck on? Go ahead.
I'm stuck on chapter 16.
And what is chapter 16 in my book?
Well, actually, it's the end of 15, I guess, which is what are your core beliefs and what do they cause you to question? And I keep procrastinating sitting down and finishing the book because I have done a lot of journaling, a lot of therapy.
But why are you, if you've done a lot, then clearly this should be no big deal. And yet you procrastinate, you stall. Why? What's going on inside of you? What do you fear or what has come up in the prior chapters? What's the fear, kid?
But I'm alone again.
Yeah,
if I hate my dad, if I paint him in a bad negative picture, then my best friend, my everything, all of a sudden goes away, and then what do I have?
That's right. So you are fundamentally clinging to a false memory of someone who seriously did you wrong. You are clinging to the belief that dad was good to me. Now the truth is, it sounds like he was good in some ways, and he was horrific in other ways. But you are
That's why it's hard.
It is
he
hard.
Was such a good person.
Yep.
It's like, how could you do this to me?
Bingo. Now you're being authentic right now. Now you're not afraid. Now you're not running from it. It's right there. You simultaneously love him and hate him at the same time. I hate him. What the fuck? Especially
I hate him, but I can't. I just make excuses.
Well, and that's just
I was in it with him, and she was so manipulative. It's like, and at the end of the day, you were the adult.
That's right. You shouldn't have been in it with him. He should have thrown you in the foxhole while he goes out and eats the hail of bullets. He should have thrown that bitch out of your house. He should have, given those girls a talking to and not stopped till they stopped. But he was so much of a coward, he feared being alone, that he was happy to send you out in front of the bullets while he hid in the foxhole.
Yeah.
That's right. And the truth is, you don't want to hate him. But remember, hate is just one more feeling. It's just another feeling. And as long as you keep that packed down because you don't want to feel it, you're stuck. You're going to be stuck. Whatever feelings are still in that vault, such as the lost, disappointed, and heartbroken, as well as the hate and the anger and the rage and the resentment and the betrayal at father. As long as you don't want to feel those, that's okay. You don't have to, but you're going to stay stuck. Because you think,
how long do you have to flush something out before it goes?
You got to start. You got to start. You haven't started. Yeah, and you even said, I don't want to feel the hate because X, Y, and Z. Then I feel alone. The simple fact of the matter is that little girl was alone. She was fucking alone. And to this day, sure, they're dead. You don't need your parents in order to heal. It'd be nice, but you don't need them in order to heal. You don't need them to be alive. You don't need a confrontation with them or a talk with them. You don't. I know it'd be nice, but you don't need that. But yes, you are in fact alone, period. Now, the way we heal is we welcome up the unpleasant feelings. See, this is what it is. It's not just the kumbaya fucking namaste feelings that we bring up. It's all the ugly shit. This is where the healing is, which is why you constantly hear me talk about courage and why courage is the linchpin of growth, of healing, of the journey of the soul, because it means going in, taking my hand now. When we're talking, taking my hand in that book, letting me hold your hand and lead you down that cave. The cave you most fear to enter holds the treasure you seek, because down in that cave are the dragons. And one of them is named stepmom. nickname Whore. And then the second one is named Dad, Coward. And those dragons have to be slayed. That the father of your death, that at least the parts that hurt you have to be put to death. Well, why are there dragons in a cave? That makes no fucking sense. Because deep inside that cave, the dragons are hiding a massive pile of gold, and that pile of gold is your authentic self. That pile of gold is the authentic self that you were never felt safe enough. See, Dad should have protected you so that you were safe to be your authentic self and not become this lizard chameleon.
I feel like there's a part of me that's afraid that my authentic self is what my stepmom told me I was. Like,
no, because you just said to me, 10 minutes ago that there is not a goddamn thing a 9-year-old could possibly do that would justify an adult teaching them that you're no good, that you don't matter. No, because let me ask you this: do you have any children?
No.
Okay. If you had a child, okay, let's say you had a son. Okay, let's say you had 2 kids, but your son is the younger one, and let's say your son is 8 years old, and or let's say 10 years old, and you knew that your son really hated himself, okay, like really, really. Would it hurt?
Yes.
Right. And surely the kid must be a bad kid if he hates himself, right?
No.
Okay. So, in other words, there's nothing wrong with that fucking 10-year-old boy. I mean, he's rambunctious. He doesn't brush his teeth if I don't tell him to, and he leaves his smelly fucking shoes in, my closet and it smells like my nice clothes. But other than those normal things, you're telling me there's nothing wrong with that fucking 10-year-old kid.
Nothing.
Exactly. Then why are the fucking rules different for you? You're convinced that every other sweet, beautiful, wonderful 8, 9, 12, 14-year-old child is sweet, wonderful, beautiful. But well, you're just so disgusting that, no. I
just feel like that's been confirmed.
No. Let me tell you what happens. Call it confirmation bias, call it whatever you want. Bottom line is what happens is if a child has been taught to believe that they suck, then they are going to allow that sort of treatment to be done to them. That becomes your normal. Right? So when people treat you like shit or people walk away from you after they've been nice to you, you're like, see, I suck. See, I knew it. I knew this was going to fucking happen. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. But it was never true to begin with. See, here's the thing. When a child is born, when they're 1, when they're 2, when they're 4, the child just innately believes mom and dad are good. Mom and dad love me. Mom and dad are good. Good, and they love me. Therefore, if I'm not getting love from mom and dad, they're good. They love me. If I'm not getting that love, then I'm the fucking problem. Something must be wrong with me. That's what you were taught. But the truth is, as we have seen, stepmom was not good. Mom was a drunk, and dad was a fucking coward. Just a fucking pansy. They were not good. Certainly not good parents. And just out of curiosity, when your father was alive, if he had been in the town or city that he was a police officer in, and local news station came up and they had a reporter and there was a TV camera with the camera woman behind them, and the reporter says, sir, we're just doing a little sort of fun piece for the local news. We're asking everybody on the street a simple question. I got a simple question for you, sir. Should a man be judged by his words or by his actions? And what would your father say?
His actions.
By his actions. Great. Let's judge your father by his actions then. Let's do that.
Oh, no.
Let's do that. Let's do that. See, from where I'm sitting, and I'm betting from a whole lot of listeners, from Trinidad, Tobago to fucking St. Thomas and the Virgin Islands, our listeners around the world would all pretty much agree. Yeah, let's judge him by his actions. He was a fucking pussy. He was a fucking coward because he was afraid of being alone. He put his own child into harm's way. This guy who's supposed to be a tough guy, protecting everyone, he puts his fucking daughter into harm's way. Let's judge him by his actions. Now, I'm not disputing that he couldn't be a wonderful, sweet guy with you, but what you most needed him for, the one thing, to to protect you.
He wasn't there for her.
And you've never had security your entire life. And you've done all sorts of things to try to feel secure because inside you are taught that you're no good. And so what has to happen is all the feelings that you don't want to feel, all the things you don't want to think about. If you truly want to heal, you ask the question, well, when have you done enough flushing? When you actually start the real flushing. And the real flushing is the shit you don't want to touch. And what's on the other side is a more full understanding of your father. But you have to go through the hate first. Okay? Furthermore, what's on the other side is finally your real self. What's in the hate, what's in the sadness is your real self. Because here's the thing. When you are going through all that shit with your stepmom and your stepsisters and your dad and feeling so alone and so hurt and beaten down and so forth, all of your feelings, they weren't safe. So you had to lock those down. But those feelings were little dot, your authentic responses. So all those feelings that are in the vault that you have not been allowed to feel, that was the real you. Do you want to know the real you? Go back and feel those feelings. Welcome them up. That was literally what 9-year-old Dot was feeling. You want to get to know your real self? Bring out those feelings. 12-year-old Dot felt sad, rage, anger, betrayal, aloneness. Bring up her feelings and you are introducing yourself to your real self. And the truth is, little 9-year-old Dot is asking you to set her free by finally, she's saying to you, you're a grown woman. You're stronger than I was. Please let the feelings out so she can be free, but so you can meet yourself. You don't know yourself because you've been hiding yourself because it wasn't safe, but now you're a woman and you can do it. And I know it's scary, but you got
terrifying.
Right.
I'm like, what if I don't like what I find?
And I'm telling you that the pain and all that you're going to find, it's not going to feel good. But the more you welcome it and welcome it and welcome it and flush it and not just crying, but putting it into words and writing letters, writing a letter to your father of not only the love and I miss you, Dad, but I fucking hate you. I love you so much and I hate you so much. You fucking left me alone, Dad. What kind of man are you? You know, whatever it is you want to write, but the more you flush it out, what's under it is the glorious you that you always were. What's under it is the authentic you. And I know you have no way of knowing that, but I do. I do this every single day of my life. Friends, acquaintances.
I wrote to you.
That's right. And I'm telling you, I know it's scary. I had to do it myself in my life. I get it, Dot. I totally get it. But you don't have a choice. And it is scary, but you're going to reach the point. And if now is not the time, now is not the time. And that's okay. There's no rush. But the day is going to come when the scariness of going into the vault and facing all your real feelings and the real truths about who Dad was, who Mom was, who whatever, that the scariness of that is going to be exceeded by the pain of continuing to live this way. It's going to be exceeded by the scariness of living this miserable fucking way for another 50 years. And you're going to be like, fuck it. I got no choice. I got to go in. And I'm going to listen to that dumb son of a bitch, bald fucker Sven. And I'm going to just fucking do it. And you know what you do? You do what you do when you're wading into a cold lake where I come from, Minnesota. When it's, it's still June and the lakes haven't warmed up. Exactly. And you go in one toe at a time, then 1 foot at a time, then the knees, then right around when it's coming up around your dingling and you go really slow. And then when your chest goes under and then finally you dunk, it just takes time. So you ease your way into it. And it's scary as fuck, isn't it? The thought of doing that.
It's exhausting.
It is. But
I just feel like I've been doing this mental health and processing and journaling and therapy, and like finding the Badass Counseling Show on TikTok was a game changer for me. You and this other guy that I follow.
No, he's an asshole. But
he doesn't count.
Right. But the point is, yes, it is exhausting when because so much of your energy is being consumed in a way trying to get the stuff out, but you're also exhausting energy keeping it down. Keeping it down.
It's like I'm trying to play two parts.
Bingo.
I'm trying to find my authentic self, but I'm also trying to be who I've always been and
avoid the price of getting to your authentic self, which is going into chapters 15, 16, 20, 45, and all the bonus tracks and so forth. And you stop because it's scary. It's fucking scary. And what is happening right now, though, if we're just being dead honest, is your stepmom is running your life.
Oh, she has for a very long time. And I hate it.
And that's right. That voice in there that I saw that coming and that she was right and that you'll never amount to anything or you're no good or whatever. You've been running from that and doing anything to keep her from being right. And as long as you continue to not be your authentic self, she is right. That you're going to live in fear until you have the courage to live your authentic self, to get all this shit out and live your authentic self. Only then is she wrong. Only then have you finally won. Now, she's innately wrong because you're a wonderful person, all right? But there, as far as that message still being inside of you, I should say it that way instead. That message is no longer in you when you finally have the courage to be your authentic self, but that means getting all those other fucking messages out of you. Let me ask you, what's going on inside of you right now?
Just feeling like I still have more to process and just angry at my dad. Like,
what are you most angry about? In one
infuriated.
Sentence, what are you most infuriated about with regard to your dad?
That he didn't protect us.
That's
that
right.
we weren't more to him. You know, he made us feel like we were his whole world. And that's why he was so important to us. So like his death was devastating on me and my sisters. But looking back and realizing that like you're the one that caused this damage. And I lost myself in order to be there with him at the end of his life because my stepmom had pushed all my other sisters out of our family. And I didn't want to be pushed out either. So I just started conforming to what she wanted me to do so I could stay with him. And I just can't fathom that he would ever let that happen.
He gave you messages of love in words and in actions. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a fantastic dad besides his awful wife.
Right. Besides his not protecting you. And so then what that means, if you got messages of being loved by your dad in words and in actions, what that means then is in a way, it's almost worse. In some ways, it's almost worse than only getting bad messages, like from an abusive parent. In some ways, it's worse. You want to know why? First of all, it breaks your heart. But also what it sets you up for is if dad was simultaneously pouring love into your love cup and sending messages of, you suck, you're not worth defending, which he never said you suck, but you're not worth defending, implies I must be worthless. So you got messages of love and dog shit put into your love cup. So what does the child do? The child equates love with dog shit as well. That real love is when it feels good and it feels like shit. And if so, what you're going to look for then in your adult life and in your relationships is love that simultaneously feels good and comes with dog shit. In fact, if it doesn't come with dog shit and rocks and manure, you don't trust it. It sounds like your brain is working right now.
I knew you would kick my ass, but wow.
What just hit you?
That lines a lot up.
Tell me.
Relationships that I've been in and, you know, being unhappy, but sucking it up and pushing through it because if I didn't have their approval, it's like just realizing that I'm still kind of chasing my stepmom.
Yep. And also this was normalized, that the love with the shit was normalized for you as a child. So when you're experiencing that as an adult, of course you're going to stay. This is normal. You don't know any different where love is just love. In fact, if you met a guy, you probably even have a guy in your past, or a woman if you're, lesbian or bi or whatever. You probably have someone in your past who was actually just good, who really had a thing for you, and maybe you just found it fucking boring. Or maybe you just weren't interested. It didn't come with the exhilaration, the shit and the love, and the shit and the love. And so it's like a fucking roller coaster, right? You don't trust love if it's just love, because what was normalized for you is that love and shit go together. Thanks, Dad. Oh, and by the way, just out of curiosity, how old were you when Mom died?
I was 25.
You were 25, and just out of curiosity, what was mom's level of involvement in your life growing up?
She was a very bad alcoholic, like I said. And when I was little, I got mad at her because she didn't want to talk to me. She always wanted to talk to my big sister, and that upset me because I just missed her so much and wanted to talk to her. She never wanted to talk to me, so I stopped talking to her until I was 19.
What is the underlying message being conveyed to the child when the parent doesn't want to talk to the young child? What is the underlying message, unspoken message, the child is receiving in one sentence or less?
That you don't matter.
Exactly. You're unimportant.
I was always chasing them like, oh, I remember the day I learned how to tie my shoes because I was so excited to show my mom and dad when they were still together. And I was like, look, I can tie my shoes. And they just went, yeah, okay. And I'm like,
heartbroken and angry. That's right. So in other words, you are getting, from the very vagina you crawled out of, you are getting the message you're not important. And from your father, who's supposed to be a big protector man, you're getting the messages of A, love comes with dog shit, and B, you're not worth defending. And then to sort of cap it all off, from stepmom, you're getting the message you're a piece of shit loser and you'll never fucking amount to anything. So it's not just that dad fucking shit on you. Mom did too. You had two.
everyone.
Yeah, you had horseshit parents. That's right. Job one, protect you. Job two, oh, I don't know, love you, hug you, tell you you're just the sweetest girl in the whole world. Right. Right. You have been alone. You've been alone since you were a child. No one protected you. No one gave you fucking love. It's almost like, why didn't you just put me up for fucking adoption? Give me somebody who would actually fucking love me.
That was part of a lot of my suicide ideation, was just, why did you have me at all?
Exactly.
You know, and if I was so loved, why did mom choose alcohol and her new boyfriend over us?
Right.
And why did dad choose the stepmom?
That's right. And it's easy as an adult to say, well, mom had her own demons and dad had a rough patch. Who gives a fuck? I was a fucking child. I don't have to excuse it as an adult. What I have to do is allow that child that was me to have their voice, to have their say, to have their feelings without adult me excusing their fucking behavior just because I want to have fucking fond memories of them. You owe it to 9-year-old you and 14-year-old you to let her have her fucking feelings, because nobody else gave a shit about your feelings back then, but you have a fucking responsibility right now to take that 14-year-old girl and hold her in your arms and stroke her hair over her ears and say, you are the most beautiful person I've ever met in my entire life, and no one is ever going to hurt you again. I got you, kiddo. And she's going to sob on your shoulder to the point where you feel her warm tears running down your neck and her mascara is streaking your neck, and you're going to hold her and you're going to tell her, I love you so much. You are the best thing to ever happen to God's green earth. I fucking got you, girl. Let's get out of here. No one is ever going to hurt you again. That's the responsibility you have. You have the responsibility to give that 10-year-old, give that 21-year-old permission to finally let out all the pain that they put in there. You have that responsibility. Some call it reparenting your inner child. You know, I call it that. I like that, whatever. You need to be writing letters to her. You need to be writing letters to her. You need to be imagining in your head, going back to her and saving her and getting her the fuck out, loading her up her shit, putting it in your car and saying, come on, honey, I got you. You got to be writing letters to her. You need to be writing letters to your fucking mom, who chose the bottle and a guy over her own fucking daughter, who never wanted anything to do with you. Thanks, bitch. Thanks, bitch. Go fuck yourself, mom. This is just the child letting her shit out. You have every right to feel those feelings. And write a letter to your dad. Dad, I fucking loved you. I adored you. What the fuck? Why'd you have to be such a fucking pussy, Dad? Really? Really, Dad? You were on
the strongest man I've ever met.
Exactly. You were a civil servant. You had a regular salary. You could have put us up. We could have lived together and been safe, Dad. We could have been safe, Dad. Jesus, Dad. You need to be writing him
letters. And then all
letters.
the excuses come up. It's like, I got to get the excuses out.
No, you welcome. Yes, those too. And journal all that out too. But at some point, kiddo, you got to go into this shit. And just be honest. Just for the first time in your life, give that little girl permission to be honest. Dad, yes, I love you, but Dad, you're a fucking dick. Just for the first time in your life, just face the truth, whatever it is, and say, you know what, to God or the gods or the universe, just say, I'm willing to finally look at the truth of all my feelings and what really happened. Because the truth is, you have been alone. So why not just finally admit, okay, I have been alone. And as someone else who has been at that suicide point, I was in a suicidal depression for 12 years. I know where you were. Different reasons, but I know where you were.
One of the reasons that I love your teachings because I connect with that.
Well, exactly. And so it's like you've been fucking miserable, and deep inside you are fucking miserable. So what's to lose if you just face it all and let Dad finally see your father for who he really was? Doesn't mean you're going to hate him forever, but you're going to hate him for as long as you have the feelings of hate. And guess what feelings do? Feelings are like trains coming into a station. The train comes into the station, it stops, it lets people out, it picks people up, leaves the station, choo, 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 and then it's just a dot on the horizon, and then poof, it's gone. But you got to welcome the feelings, and what we resist persists. So if you are resisting feelings, they're going to persist, and they're going to nip at your heels, and they're going to bite you in the ass for the rest of your fucking life. You got to face that shit, kiddo. You got to do it. And you can. And the truth is, once you finally turn into that pain, then it starts to go so much faster. What protracts it, what makes it take so long is our running from it and saying, why isn't it going away? Because it's inside of you. Until it's outside of you, the pain is still inside of you. So, would you be willing to stick around right after the show and come back and just talk with us for a minute?
Absolutely.
All right. Dot, you have been an amazing guest and so open and so real and so raw. And I'm just so grateful that you came onto the show.
I'm very grateful to have been on the show. I followed you guys for a while, and I so deeply appreciate what you and Rob and Casey do. It really is life-changing.
Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully we made a little more change. It's really going to unlock shit today.
There's some gears turning up there.
Good. I like turning gears. Now let's unlock those real feelings. All right. You come back after the show. And thank you again for being on. And to all of our listeners around the world, from Tahiti to Tuxtlan, Mexico, however they pronounce that, on behalf of my team here in the studio, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.